Queen Elizabeth II, 95, is a constitutional monarch and has held weekly audiences with British prime ministers throughout her 69-year reign. Boris Johnson is the Queen's 14th prime minister, and an exchange during their first face-to-face meeting since the start of the pandemic has been made public. These meetings are usually strictly private affairs, but cameras were brought in to film the first face-to-face one since lockdown began and caught some of the Queen and Prime Minister's exchange. The Queen was captured saying, "I've just been talking to your Secretary of State for Health, poor man. He came for Privy Council." She added, "H is full of," to which Mr. Johnson offered, "full of beans." The Queen then told Mr. Johnson the Health Secretary thinks things are getting better, in remarks caught on the microphone. Reacting to this rare insight into the Queen and Prime Minister's dynamic, one royal commentator has claimed Mr. Johnson is likely to find the meetings more challenging than face-offs with opposition leader Sir Keir Starmer. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams told Express.co.uk, "As we gradually move back to a form of normality, Prime Minister Boris Johnson met the Queen face-to-face for the first time in 15 months for their weekly audience yesterday." A brief clip was released, and those who see it will appreciate the Queen's reference to Health Secretary Matt Hancock as poor man, which undoubtedly refers to the pressure he has been under in these unprecedented times. Mr. Fitzwilliams added, "Conversations between the monarch and her prime ministers are strictly private." The expert claimed the encounter would have been fixed by the palace. He said, "This will have been prearranged so as to add a touch of humor to mark the occasion." The Queen is famed for being well-informed and may at times pose something of a challenge to Mr. Johnson, the expert claimed. Mr. Fitzwilliams added, "Boris Johnson may find his audiences with the Queen more taxing than his duels with the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer in a mostly empty Commons chamber, as she is famed for doing her research into the issues of the day. These are strictly private discussions which both will undoubtedly find beneficial in such trying times, and which are thankfully more as they used to be, but only after 15 months. Mr. Fitzwilliams argued that as the recording was officially released, its contents would have been pre-arranged by the palace. During the pandemic, the meetings were carried out over the phone in keeping with government guidelines. The annual Sovereign Grant Report, which shows the royal family's income and spending for the year, was released on Thursday and shows the Queen was hit by a £10 million shortfall due to the pandemic. Figures show the firm lost more than half its annual income outside of government funding after it was forced to shut its royal residences to visitors during the COVID-19 crisis. During the 2019-2020 financial year, the palace's income was £20.2 million. This shrunk to £9.4 million, a 53% loss, during 2020-2021. The sovereign grant pays the salaries of royal household staff, and from 2020-21 amounted to £51.5 million, 77p per person per year, excluding security. The sum is calculated at 15% of the profits of the Crown lands which George III surrendered for the civil list, replaced by the sovereign grant in 2012. In 1760,